Hey everybody, it's Larry with another cup of coffee with Mr. Larry, and we're going to get right into it today because I got some stuff I want to try to cover with you that's important, and I don't want it to go too long. So we're going to go straight to the share, and we're going to go on because again we've been talking about long-term care. And if you hadn't heard me the first 16 times, let me tell it to you. You have a statistically very high chance of needing long term care before you die. And so we're going to talk about, yesterday we talked about one option to pay for it, which is a hybrid called a hybrid annuity, where you put money in the annuity. If you needed long term care, it could either double or triple the amount of value for the long term care side. If you never use it, you get your money back anyway out of the annuity that's growing at a guaranteed rate of return, better than the bank. So kind of a win-win deal if you have some assets. So here's the second way to do it as we're talking about long-term care. Here's the second way to do it. Here's some questions for you. What do you know about long-term care? Well, we've been talking about it. Have you ever known anybody who needed some kind of long-term care? What caused them to need it? Did they have to go into a nursing home? And if so, how long were they in there? Were they in a assisted living facility? How long were they in there? Was it expensive? Who paid for it? Now, we all know different stories about that. My next door neighbor right now today has he's getting home health care because it was the best place for him. But thank goodness she had a long-term care policy that pays for that, because there's somebody over there 6, 8, 10 hours a day. My wife's mom, my wife Carolyn's mom, she was in an assisted living facility for a couple of years. Fortunately for her, she was self-pay, but fortunately for her, they had the resources to be able to do that. So let's go to the next slide. I can hit the button. So here are the risks we face. If you take your entire asset, put it in a bucket of money, throw it up there on the table, here's what you got. We'll see if we can make this work. So we always play the game. You got any fire insurance? Well, of course we do. And why is that? Well, because if my house burns down, I need them to replace it. Plus, my mortgage company makes us have it. Your odds of needing fire insurance are about 1 in 122,000. You have automobile insurance? Well, of course I do. Somebody runs into me, I run into somebody's going to get sued. Morgan & Morgan, or one call, that's all. Somebody's going to have a conversation. And you need to have coverage to protect yourself. But the odds of you being in an automobile insurance claim is 1 in 220. You have health insurance? I hope so, because your odds are getting better now. Your odds are 1 in 22 of needing health insurance. Why do you need health insurance? Because it's expensive to get sick. I had a hip replaced last year. The total bill for that, now insurance paid, Medicare and my insurance carrier paid most of it, but that initial $1,000, that would have been painful. I'd have still been hopping around on a bad hip, right? But your chance of needing health insurance is 1 in 22. All right, here we go. You know what's coming. Your chances of needing long-term care is really 1 out of 2. It's really more than that, 7 out of 10. If you're a married couple, it's about 90%. It's 9 out of 10. That one of you are going to need some kind of long-term care. So you're beginning to feel what I'm trying to teach you here. So there's the cost. We've talked about that a time or two. The numbers are all over everywhere, but depending on what expert that you pull the numbers from, but just get this idea. It is expensive and is not going to get any cheaper, because 2024 will be at the peak of boomers turning 65, right? 8 to 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65 every day. Sooner or later, this math is going to catch up to us. So let me tell you how this works. And just kind of hang with me. We do this the way I tell this story, kind of how we do them. So the husband and the wife have a nest egg of about $400,000. That's everything. So here's how the story goes. We always put the husband in the nursing home. The husband goes in, he falls down, breaks a hip, goes into the hospital. But you know the deal. They're in and out of the hospital as fast as they can. They put you over into a rehab unit. You can typically stay in that rehab unit up to about 100 days because Medicare will pay for that. You leave that, you're going into a facility somewhere if you can't go home. And so at about that 100th day, this nice lady is going to come in with a nice white coat, carrying a clipboard, and she's called the social worker. Well, she's not there to sign you up for the bocce tournament or the bridge tournament. She's there to count money. And they take your nest egg, both husband and wife, doesn't matter whose name it's in, and they throw it all in a bucket and they just cut it in half. And since we put the husband in the nursing home, we're spending down money. And he's going to spend his money down all the way down to $2,000, a wallet, wedding ring, about $1,500 in a cash value life insurance policy, and a prepaid funeral. In the state of Georgia, about $10,000. And we go through all of that, then we're coming to the wife's side. And we're going to spend her money down to somewhere around $100,000, depending on what state you're in. She gets to keep a car, she gets to live in the house, but they can put what's called a Medicare recovery lien on the house, so that when she passes, when both spouses pass, they can sell the house and get the proceeds out to pay whatever shortfall. Not a pretty picture. This is pretty close to going broke in a nursing home, right? They worked hard all their life, built up a little nest egg, and then they got sick, got hurt. Now, I missed a slide. Well, let's see if I did. I hope not. I did miss a slide. Nope, there's a slide. I just got one in the wrong way. So there's a way to avoid some of this pain. It's called a state partnership plan. Back under the president, George Bush's presidency, they started this thing called a state partnership plan. And what they said was they would partner up each state, because that state pays the Medicaid plan, the Medicaid claims, which is who covers the long-term care, Medicare, the nursing home costs, that if you buy a bucket of money, for that approved long-term care policy, in this case, we have it on the husband and the wife, but we're going to use the husband, same scenario, same $400,000, same story about the husband, and he's in the nursing home. Now, here's the magic. They start, the long-term care policy pays first for that coverage out of that long-term care bucket first, and then they're going to go to the $200,000, and then they're going to spend it all the way down, if he's still in the nursing home, to the same scenario. Here's the power, though. Because you had that bucket of money from that approved long-term care company, because that was in place, it doesn't matter whether it was a little bucket, medium bucket, or big bucket, it puts a firewall between the spouse's stuff. So instead of mama getting all the way down to $100,000 again, depending on what state, and going pretty much broke. It puts this partnership plan, puts this firewall in between them. Right? Now, that's kind of a quickie way to answer a short question and all that needs to happen here. But here's what you need to know. Now, if there are no assets, then nothing to protect, right? If there are no assets, you don't have a whole lot of money, then you already have a plan, and that plan is you're going to go into Medicaid spend down, and you're going to become a ward of the state, and Medicaid's going to pay for your long-term care. But understand that comes at a price too. You're not guaranteed to get a room. You're not guaranteed to get a bed anywhere near where you live and where your family is. And again, more and more boomers are going to come into age of needing this as we continue to go along. If you have a choice, do you want to get your medical care at home like my next door neighbor in the comfort of his home, or do you want to have to go to a facility? If you can do something about it, you've got to take it. If you want, husband, because we always, the husbands are always the hard heads. Husband, if you don't want to spend the money, do you want to put that burden on your wife? Is it expensive, Mr. Larry? Well, it depends. Not everybody can get it. You got to be underwritten for it. But the rule of thumb is a small bucket. Remember, the firewall is going to happen whether you got a little bucket, a medium bucket, or a big bucket, right? So if all you can afford is the little bucket, it's going to at least keep the firewall in there. But the difference between a little bucket and a medium bucket price-wise isn't a whole lot. Here's the rule of thumb, and it can be all over everywhere, right? Here's the rule of thumb. It's basically $1 per month per year. If you're 60 years old, it's pretty much about $1 for every year you are old. So it's about $60 a month. And then if you're a female, it's about the same thing plus $10. Now that's for a little bucket. And obviously, I'm not going to tell you the price can't go up, because it can. But most of these carriers have kind of settled in on the big price increases. Look, you owe it to your family to at least put something into place. And there's ways we can show you how to fund it. There's ways that we can help you find the money to do it. But you gotta, here's the trick to this. You gotta have that plan in place before you need it. By the way, not to get real morbid with you, but you do understand that as a percentage of the population, that people in a nursing home died from COVID at a much, much, much higher rate than people outside of a nursing home, right? Now, some of that's their age and some of that's the medical stuff, but it just is what it is. If you've never, ever, let me just speak to you, man. If you've never been into a nursing home that takes Medicaid, go. It will break your heart. But then come back and do something about it so you don't have to wind up there. I'm going to end it with that. Tomorrow we're going to kind of wrap up the long-term care in a big bow for you, and we'll move on to another subject next week. But this is incredibly important. Don't wait until you're 82, which is the average age people need long-term care to get it, because you can't. Might be able to get an annuity, but you can't. Probably not even then. With COVID, by the way, when COVID first hit, they stopped the majority of the sales of this. Now it's back open again. So my encouragement is don't dawdle. Let's talk, right? I'm going to give you an honest answer. You know that. I'm going to give you some honest numbers, and you know that. I'm going to show you all the options. But you got it. And again, if you don't want to talk to me about it, okay. Find somebody you know, like, and trust, and have this conversation with them. It is incredibly important. Don't go broke in a nursing home. There's nobody running that nursing home that you ought to love enough to leave all your money that you worked for all your life to get there. I'm gonna stop. It's almost 16 minutes into this. I just couldn't figure out how to do it any quicker. Be sure to help me spread the news. I think what we share here is pretty good and is of a lot value, and kind of help me tell the tale, because more people need to hear what I have to tell them. So that's kind of cocky sounding, but it's just the truth. Have a great day. It's hot outside. It's 84 degrees in Savannah, Georgia today. It's beautiful. Get out and enjoy God's creation. Remember, God loves you. He will not give up on you. I posted this earlier today. Don't give up on God, because he ain't going to give up on you. Have a good day, and we'll, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we'll be back tomorrow for another episode of Coffee with Mr. Larry. Take care. Bye-bye.